Mercedes or BMW, I know this is your favorite comparison review here on Autofuel with Thomas, and today it is about the mid-size segment. Who is building the best mid-size sports coupe? BMW 4 Series in the recent facelift or the all-new Mercedes CLE? We're going to find out here with Autofuel in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. This will be a super interesting comparison. As I said, the 4 Series of BMW recently facelifted, different front grille, little bit small changes. Beautiful here with these bright accentuations, this dot design, large double kidney. This has been very controversial since the 4 Series was introduced. Also updated lamps here. Also a different daytime running light. You can see it here in the front. Arctic Race Blue is this very vehicle color right here. Whereas with the Mercedes CLE, they have merged the C-Class Coupe and the E-Class Coupe to one segment. Technology-wise, it is rather on the C-Class, but it's also fitting then to the 4 Series here in this mid-size segment. This is here the high-tech silver color, and we have the AMG-Line. So we have this micro-star pattern here also in the front, and this chrome in the lower part, this rather classic look. So very comparable cars also with the AMG-Line for the CLE and the M Sport version for the BMW 4 Series. Let's go on to the side profile. Later also more about pricing and so on, and we'll have an extensive Autobahn driving with over 200 kilometers an hour, over 125 miles an hour on the German Autobahn for both vehicles. This will be super exciting. We have up to 20-inch wheels. In this case here with the BMW, 19-inch wheels. We have 20-inch wheels with the Mercedes, so it will be also very exciting how it plays out as for the comfort and so on. The length here is 4.77 meters or 188 inches for the BMW. The Mercedes is 8 centimeters or 3 inches longer actually. The wheelbase 2 centimeters longer with the Mercedes, so not too much. But suspension-wise, there is actually a difference. So with the BMW, you have either the standard suspension, a fixed M suspension, or this adaptive M suspension. We have also equipped right here. It's also available on the Northern American market. Whereas with the Mercedes CLE, you have the standard suspension, a fixed sport suspension you can also get in the US. And then there is a tech package, and that is then a combination of a rear axle steering, 2.5 degrees, the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction, and also an adaptive suspension. However, this tech pack is not available on Northern American market. We can only get it here in the EU. Towards the rear, updated 4 Series with these laser tail lights. It's a new option. Yeah, they look a little bit more fancy and so on. Not sure if the laser technology is needed in this case, but yeah, that's a little bit playing with light, I would say. And in the lower part, we have real exhaust tips here, and the M Sport package adds these black contrast in the lower part. Then the CLE, it has like this yacht design, like this expensive boat design in the rear, where the lower part is also a little bit wider here than the upper part. I'm always missing the light strip here in the middle part with the black part, but I'm not sure. This is maybe like a matter of preference. And in the lower part, yeah, this is a case for the Autofuel fake exhaust police for sure. These are pure fake exhaust, and you know you can also get a fake exhaust police t-shirt meanwhile. Or this one here, our Let's Go t-shirt. Or what about the normal logo shirt that Leah is wearing? Oh, that's also a way to wear it. We don't have girl size yet, but yeah, that's maybe a way the girls could wear it right now. Nice. And now back to the vehicles. Turning indicator wise, I think in the front they both look beautiful, different integration for sure. However, here in the rear, I think the BMW one is better, just with this rather straight, subtle line, because here in the Mercedes, it just looks old school, doesn't it? So design wise, I think it's very hard to pick a favorite actually, because the CLE more has this rather sensual design, whereas the BMW has a little bit more, let's say, German design, a little bit harder, a little bit more aggressive, I feel. It promises more sportiness, but will it also be true? We'll find out in the driving part. Which one is your favorite exterior-wise? Already tell me in the comments. Exterior-wise, I'm a little bit undecided. I think that's really a matter of preference. I like both from the exterior. Not sure if you have seen that before, but some kids anticipated our review location today and actually drew a beautiful road here for us. So whoever did this, thank you so much, kids. This is a beautiful piece of art. key fobs, both nice, here with the M colors. If you have M Sport package, the Mercedes key is always the same, if AMG-Line or not, but both are actually quite nice. Which one do you prefer? Here, door closing sound. Nothing special with the Mercedes CLE, doesn't sound that good. Very rarely do we have cars that have frameless doors and then have a great door closing sound. In this case, it's not the case actually. Then inside of the doors, here everything covered and so on. In the lower part, then this is harder. From the inside door panel, there's just a rubber ground on the lower part, and the seat controls are here, and a lot of high gloss black used already here. Then we have a nice entry badge, and this is steering wheel, AMG-Line with the 2 horizontal spokes with hashtag capacitive VS controls, not too good while driving, and everything digitalized, of course, with digital instruments and the rather vertical screen. At the moment everything's off, soon I'll turn on everything. And I really like the air vents here in this turbine style, and they also have nice clicking sounds. That's what I really like. And the ambient lighting with the Mercedes is also pretty cool. We can see that while driving as well later. Then the seats, this is here the animal skin surface, really stiff. You can also get the Artico leatherette or MV-Tex. This is a little bit softer than with the Mercedes. And in the EU, you can also get a microfiber seating, which will also be more comfortable. There is a chance of rattling sounds in this vehicle, and it comes from here. This here, this like it's actually a nice adjustment for the head restraint, but the thing is that here, especially here, it's okay, but on the passenger side, it's even more loose, and this indeed has caused some rattling sounds when you drive at like middle speed, I would say, over some potholes and cobblestones or something like that. So yeah, I have to bear that in mind. We were wondering where it does come from, and now we actually found out. Then here, the seating with 189, 6'2", some headroom left. And the comfort here, especially here on the Mercedes animal skin seats, is really bad, honestly. So these seats are not comfortable at all. Again, it will be better with the other materials. I've tested it also in different vehicles here from the CLE, but already the base ergonomics of the seat. You can see that this seat is here designed to look good, but not to be most comfortable. That's the thing. Mercedes CLE cockpit always looks impressive. Now also the ambient lighting is on, and look at that, how it goes here in a central way around, and now we also see it here in the inside of the vents. This looks really beautiful. I love it. You can change the color, you can change the brightness, adjust it to your styling. So the first impression is always like, wow, look at that. Also beautiful here with the carbon fiber decor element. At least then we have a little bit less high gloss black, but you can see it here, especially in the middle console. This is a lot of high gloss black, and yeah, doesn't make the best quality impression than when you're really coming closer to it, actually. However, the middle console is nice here with the split opening right here, and there's enough space, 2 USB-C chargers. In the front, you slide this one open. The inductive charging pad is a little bit hidden way in the front there. Cup holders here are also a little bit flimsy, I would say, and they also don't hold the bottles that tight. What we have as a nice feature here is in the infotainment system, we have this summer mode. So here you have these floaties as the visualization. Yeah, Leah likes it. I find it a little bit more playful. I don't know, maybe that's yeah, matter of preference, definitely. But this is possible. You don't have to go for it, of course. This one here also equipped with a panoramic roof, and you can actually slide that open, one that really still opens. This is of course in the matter now, not like between the vehicles, but just like if you go for that option or not. We always try to find the vehicles that are really similar or comparable. In this case, this one does have one. So just to show you that here as well. So the cockpit definitely looks cool with all the air vents and so on. Let's check out the infotainment and the digital instruments. Driver POV. I really like the grip on the steering wheel here. And then yeah, these controls here with slides, not ideal. However, you can also press it, but then you press that whole thing basically. Digital instruments, nice to see. And you can also go for different stylings. For example, here also with the sporty styling. You can also get a head-up display. Infotainment-wise, you now get the recent update here with these large tiles, so it's easier to control. And also when you go to the settings and so on, you can change something of the assistance systems here. This is once again part of the summer mode, that you have some flowers here, for example. And in lights, you can, for example, also easily edit the ambient lighting and so on. So pretty much straightforward. The climate control is always in the lower part. This is actually, yeah, I prefer the physical controls, but for climate controls, digital ones, it is relatively easy to reach. And CarPlay integration looks like this. Now to the BMW. Door closing sound is also nothing special. So yeah, as I said, rarely that we find some great door closing sounds when it's frameless. A Porsche, for example, does it good. Then inside of the doors, it's also wrapped tightly, everything, also soft touch, also a nice build quality. And then inside of the doors, however, here, this doesn't even have a rubber ground, so this is not that well done, I would say, but nice M entry badge here, M Sport pack. And then we have with the facelift a new steering wheel, always with a flat bottom. The base steering wheel would even be animal free, and that's a very good development. This one here, the M Sport, however, is not. We have real buttons here still at the steering wheel, nice and simple to press, and also new with the facelift. Some markets already had it with the model year before, but now for all here this integrated curved screen, but it consists of two different ones. Then seats here, standard in SensorTech, perforated. They are also, you see here, way softer than in the CLE. In the EU market, you could also get a new Perform text, like a microfiber fabric mix, that is also available. And indeed, the seating comfort here in the BMW is way better. So if we compare it, for example, the seat material that is available in the X5 or X7, that is even a level above that. But the base ergonomics here also, if you compare its 4 Series against the CLE, so it's definitely way better in the seating comfort. Headroom here is also more with one A9 602. However, this one here also one than without a panoramic roof, that always costs some headroom. Cockpit overview of the BMW, not as like high effect and so on like with the Mercedes, but we do have some subtle ambient lighting integration, for example here. This new curved screen, then what we can see here, the climate unit went into the screen, so we have lost here the manual climate control. That's a pity. I think that's a step backwards. It looks more modern, it looks cleaner, but it's harder to control, and especially also to compare the Mercedes. Here to change the temperature while driving is easier in the Mercedes, it's more accessible right here, and also is a little bit larger. So the climate control now is actually better with the Mercedes. Pre-facelift was better with the BMW actually. So more details to that. What's cool is that we still have the controller in the lower part, so we can control also the nice turning sound. We can control the infotainment system while driving from here. Middle console looks a little bit better here from the quality, and also here like the cup holders, for example. Inductive charging pad is easier accessible. However, here it is not cooled, so the phone will overheat. I would not use it actually. And also what I found bad with BMW is they make you only use wireless connection for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And that's a bad thing, because yes, it's meanwhile more reliable from the connection, but with Mercedes, for example, you can choose cable or wireless, and I rather tend to use the cable connection. It's more stable, the phone charges quicker, the phone doesn't overheat and so on. So I'm a friend of the cable connection for CarPlay and Android Auto, even though if it's old school. I just explained you why. At least it's good if you can choose, and BMW just forces you to use wireless only. They don't even offer the cable connection, and I don't know why is that actually. Middle console here, nice quality, it's really soft for your elbow. Open it, good quality and more space underneath, and there is, for example, my cable charging solution, even though if the connection for the CarPlay is still wireless then. Driver POV, better that we have the real buttons here, also for the cruise control, so that's easier to control. Then digital instruments, you can also change the layout right here, for example, but all of that you rather see than here when you really start up the vehicle like this. And then we also have a head-up display in the BMW as an option, and on the right side, let me turn off that again, you can see it better than here from the infotainment system. The thing is here that it is a little bit overloaded, so that it has a better overview in the Mercedes. Always go to the CarPlay, also in the lower part. This is a nice integration, also very wide actually. Rear seats of the BMW, here I have to grab behind here, then it also slides forward like this. And then you can see this is the space that is left when I'm driving actually on the driver's seat. So for me it's really close. Nevertheless, let me get in here. So that's actually okay, I would say. If I can really fit here behind the driver's seat, let me try that as well. Carefully. Yeah, I think I can somehow squeeze in. So here, see, it does work. So here my legs go a little bit more forward like this. Headroom wise, also really close. I have to put my spine a little bit down. For a shorter period of time, I think it's okay. The leatherette here, the sensor deck seating surface, you can see here, is also relatively soft. It's also perforated, therefore has like a passive kind of thing, passive cooling. You can also put this here down. Okay, yeah, that needs a little bit more help. Not the best solution, but then it's adaptive on the inside at least. Yeah, this mechanism is maybe not the best one I've seen, honestly, but the seating comfort from the material is actually quite good. It is cozy here, although you see it's not like a regular thing for 4 tall adults. A little bit better than here on the passenger seat or behind the passenger seat, where you can move this one a little bit more forward than the Mercedes CLE. Here you have to reach a little bit further back in there to reach that strap here at the seat. But then again, the seat belt is a little bit closer here to the pillar. That's a little bit better for the entry in and out. On the first hand, it looks closer with the seat there, but is it actually true? Remember, this is the longer vehicle, 8 centimeters or 3 inches longer and 2 centimeters more in wheelbase. And let's see, I also want to make me fit in behind the seat, that we have a comparison when I'm driving. Let's see about that. Yeah, so like how the knee is reaching over the seat, it's, I would say, comparable. The only thing is that but you cannot see that well, with my left knee, it's a little bit less space at the side of the seat. And also there's less space with the feet underneath the seat, actually. Headroom wise is both limited with both vehicles, same time, you know, with with the spines on. Here, once again, the aluminum skin surface, you can see it here literally, how it reacts to that. When I press it, it's way stiffer. This will be a little bit better when you have the Artico seats or the microfiber seats. Overall, yeah, this is a little bit darker here from that area. So the offering of space, I would say, is comparable. Little advantage to the BMW, and the seating itself is also a little bit more comfortable in the BMW, also in the rear. Trunk or boot check. This way. Trunk or boot check. Here we can also press it here at the key fob. That's a beautiful shot, isn't it? Lovely. Yeah, sorry. That's what makes my life happy, you know. Car nerd stuff. Then we have 420 liters with the CLE. And underneath here, more space, and also this shopping basket. Why not? To fold the seats, I cannot do anything here. I have to go around. But first of all, length here is a meter or 40 inches, a little bit more than a meter or 40 inches in length, and between the wheel arches here also a meter or 40 inches in width. This here is a hard plastic area, and I don't think that is really a premium focused when you consider the price of that vehicle. Yeah, and then to fold seats, I have to go around. Here this ski hatch, there we go, hello. And then I can also fold down this individual, and there we go. The BMW at 440 liters, 20 liters more. And we don't have anything to lift up here, but then again, the whole thing is higher. So here where my finger is, that would be the height of the CLE trunk. And this is then the height of the BMW trunk, so a little bit higher than actually. However, the ground measures, like here, the length, meter or 40 inches, and here also meter or 40 inches is almost the same. It's just that this trunk here is a little bit more square in the dimension, I would call it that way. And then you can also release the seats from here. You could push it through here or with your luggage. That would also be possible, so a little bit easier in the solution, I would say. What you can, however, also do, and that is only possible then from the rear, here when you fold this up again, then you can also once again move this one down as a ski hatch. By the way, I don't have a specific personal brand bias or something. I have personal history with both brands. I literally grew up in the Mercedes W123 from my father. Then my grandmother, grandfather, they had a BMW E30 in white. So I have a very strong personal connection with both brands actually from growing up. So I don't have a personal preference how this test is going to end. I'm really looking into a specific segment. When we have been testing BMW against Mercedes, we had actually different outcomes almost every time we did that. So that was very interesting. And we're going to look at the engines right now. So with the BMW 2-liter 4-cylinder, 3-liter 6-cylinder, petrol and diesel in Europe then, and we have here the 2-liter 4-cylinders today, 245 horsepower with the BMW and 5.7 seconds in the acceleration figure. That's half a second actually quicker than 6.2 seconds with the CLE 300. We have both in the all-wheel drive spec, by the way. This one here, 258 horsepower plus MHEV boost, so it has more horsepower on paper. Yet again, why is it half a second slower? The reason is weight. The CLE slightly longer with this 8 centimeters or 3 inches longer, but the crucial thing is really weight, 175 kilograms heavier here with the CLE, and I'm looking forward to if we feel that while driving. For the CLE, you, by the way, can also get a 3-liter 6-cylinder petrol engine. The main difference is here at the moment you cannot get a big diesel in the EU. However, for the CLE, they offer plug-in hybrids based on the 2-liter 4-cylinder. This is not available for the BMW. Sport mode and S shifting. Nice. Okay.
Crazy.
Well, that was 240 now. Interesting. Pretty good. I mean, this is not the specific performance model. It's only the 430i, so this is the 4-cylinder here, and for that, the performance was really very good. Like that one. And I mean, yes, here in the sport mode, you also have this pronounced sporty sound. I can show you the difference. So when I'm in the sport comfort mode, then accelerate. Then sport mode. More low frequency sonorous feedback. I think it's not exaggerated. I think in this case it's okay. Because sometimes we have this artificial thing which you maybe love at, you know, it's ridiculous or something. But here I think it's definitely okay. And if you compare now already the two vehicles here we have in our comparison test, this one here, the 4 Series as a 430i, is 175 kilograms lighter and is thus also 0.5 seconds quicker acceleration figure from standstill. I'm really looking forward how this sprint here goes with the CLE. Yeah, but this one was already a very, very good performance indeed. And well, we also have the adaptive M suspension here. So in the sport mode, it's also stiffer. Yeah, I also see it with Leah when I look over to her and we are on bump. So yes, you do lose comfort in the sport setting, but it's still, I feel, good. Yes, we also have the large 19-inch wheels mounted here. I think the comfort is overall in a good balance. But definitely when you are in a sport mode, you just have the sportier reaction. That's also good. That's how it's meant to be. Also here back and forth, the car stays upright. Good feeling for the vehicle. However, in this comfort driving mode, it's just a little bit more forgiving here when we have some waves. And do you feel that difference?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because sometimes it's really good to talk to Leah as a reality check, not that I'm, you know, just feeling something or so.
You're right.
Thank you so
As
much,
always.
honey. Thank you so much, honey. That's what I wanted to hear. Yeah, but I'm telling that to her as well, so that's good. That's a good thing, right? So I think here the comfort mode definitely a nicer setting for long travels, and then you can also do it like this, like comfort setting for suspension, but then as shifting mode. Of course, you can also just leave it in the normal driving modes and it's still fine. And I mean, not sure if you're realizing how fast we're going
so
all the time.
silent.
It's really
It's
silent,
crazy,
yeah. So we're going like 170, 160 kilometers an hour. And it's like 100 miles per hour.
It's
like nothing,
okay.
you know. It's like we can go on for this for hours and hours. This is also, by the way, a speed area where it would make a difference if you have the Coupé or the convertible. These modern soft tops, they are very well insulated. They're really good, and on the normal motorway at normal speeds, it doesn't make a large difference. But when you're really driving very, very fast here, like in German Autobahn, then it does make a difference. So sound insulation wise, the Mercedes CLE has to do something to beat this here. This was already pushing the bar up really, really high. I love that. I also like how calm the vehicle is reacting here on the German Autobahn, even at high speeds. It feels super safe and great to handle at all times. The only small thing, and I've been criticizing this since the existing of the all-new 3 Series generation, so years ago, is that the steering feel is not how it should be. It should be like a 3 and the 4 Series should have the benchmark steering feel at BMW, and it does not have. And what do I mean by that? First of all, there's shifting and sport mode here once again. Now in this nice S, yeah, Leah is already preparing to hold tight. Here, nice S combination and nicely out of the corners. Now back to the right lane. Beautiful. It's so much fun. I love that vehicle. That's great. Then back to the only thing I don't like that much. Here, the steering, even in the sport mode, is a little bit without feel. And BMW did that actually on purpose because they said they wanted the vehicle to feel lighter. And it does feel light by that, and it does feel light and easy to control by that. Yes, that's true actually. And it works in a way, but at the same time, if you are like me and like also in a way a purist driver, then you say like, I want that more feedback from the steering, and it feels a little bit here, especially like in this very low degree angles, a little bit too light, you know what I mean? Yet at the same time, the engines they built are just great. There we go. It's so nice and flawless, and I mean, it's so good that you don't even miss the 3-liter 6-cylinder, which is of course awesome. And here we're above 200 again, and now at 220, the wind noises are picking up, and this is
a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, and wow.
We can even talk.
We can even talk at 220. I mean, I wouldn't probably drive like 230 now for hours and hours, but this feels so effortless in this vehicle here. Wow, I'm really impressed. Such a great handling vehicle, a lot of fun, awesome. I think here 180 kilometers an hour is like a comfortable traveling speed here in this vehicle. I would say like, hey, let's go, like, you know, let's drive to the mountains, and then we could drive maybe like 5 hours with 180 kilometers an hour, if of course the traffic situation allows it, which usually it doesn't. But that would be a really comfortable traveling feeling here. And that is astonishing. So even more comfort than again in the normal driving modes. So the steering feel here, as I said, it needs more natural feeling to it, you know, and more resistance to it. Yeah, this may be where we disagree sometimes a little bit. Leah likes it when the steering wheels are a little bit lighter in the control. I prefer it when they have more resistance. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that it contradicts my, you know, what I'm saying here, because, for example, the Audi steering wheels or so, they are progressive, they are not heavy, but at the same time give you a natural feeling. And this one here is not that natural. It's still a lot of fun, great vehicle, but I think they need to fix that steering feel here in all 3 Series and 4 Series, I feel, at least. So, and here we can do one more nice combination, because this is a very lovely corner. Yeah, I don't like it that I have to switch 2 things at the same time. I think when you go to sport mode, it should also go to the sport shifting. Don't you think so as well? Because with Mercedes or Audi, it is the way. Here, in this corner, there's like a bump inside. Beautiful, just going straight. Because some vehicles, when there's like in the corner and there's like a bump, they get like pushed to the outside. They hop a little bit, but here it does not happen at all. And and that's really well done. Yeah, here once again, and I also have to look down to search for that. Not ideal, I would say. Then of course assistance systems. We can set them here on the steering wheel, easily done. And you can also switch between off and on pretty quickly. When you have this green steering symbol there, it means that also the active lane keeping assist is active. I'll also test it for you once again very soon. I'm just going here. Once again, it's S-combination, and yeah, it's so much fun. The whole chassis handling of that vehicle is great, and I feel even better in the normal comfort mode because then I don't have any comfort loss. At the same time, I do not miss any sportiness in that setting.
That's cute.
Oh, look at that.
Little bit.
That's nice. We already, because it's getting a little bit darker, as we have the ambient lighting here. That looks pretty fancy in that little area. This is also new here with the update, with the facelift, so it's pretty nice. I also like the steering wheel here with the flat bottom. That's actually pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, as for the update here, it looks cooler. It looks more modern. Yeah, I'm a little bit annoyed by the loss of real climate controls here. There's always such a strange traffic light there. Yeah, and then here I have to do it in the screen. So yeah, this is more like 22 degrees Celsius, 72 degrees Fahrenheit, automatic setting probably because I don't like doing like finger around in the screen while driving, and not the best idea for sure. So let me show you here the assistance systems now. So there we go. Let's go to the left once again. So now I set the cruise control. There we go. And then let's see when the active lane keeping assist sets in. Waiting for that green symbol. There we go. So, and now the car is basically overtaking. It's still level 2 system. And you see here also when it's then going in a slight bend, is super calm from the steering reactions and so on. So really very sophisticated assistance systems. Just wouldn't trust a vehicle with that. So that's the situation where I rather overtake myself again. Yeah, this is perfectly fun here in this very vehicle. Mercedes, sport mode. Oh. Okay. Yeah, that was at least 190 kilometers an hour. I'm not sure if you saw that initially. I went to the sport mode because in the sport mode, obviously, like the shifting is optimized, but then like the vehicle was starting, but then like canceling that and then going back a gear and then starting again. I'm not sure if you saw that. I'm also looking forward to the time code, like when we do like the 50 to 150 or something, you know, how the acceleration difference is. The difference from standstill to 100 kilometers an hour is half a second actually in favor of the BMW. Here we have the higher horsepower figure on paper, but we also have 175 kilograms more of weight. Yeah, you feel that the BMW has, you know, has more spirit to it from the engine. Or what would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, you also feel it. No. Crushing our test, photobombing it actually, with one hand and the other hand drinking. Yeah. Well.
And it's louder.
It's louder. It's definitely louder. I mean, you don't have to measure that. That's
crazy loud, yeah.
I mean, yes, we're driving 220 kilometers an hour now. It's, I mean, it is a high speed.
BMW was silent.
Yeah, the BMW was more silent. What I can actually do is close the sunroof.
The sunroof is already shut.
Sunshade. Wait, let's try that again. Close the sunshade.
Good. I'm closing the windows.
There we go. Because while driving fast, this is actually a better way. Or I just call, hey Leah, close the assembly please. That would be the alternative. So let's see, I mean, yes, we have a glass roof here, which we didn't have in the BMW. But I don't feel that the extra noise is coming from there. It's more coming from everywhere, yeah. So, I mean, we had some tests where the Mercedes were the most silent ones, maybe like E-Class, S-Class and so on. That was really good in noise insulation. But here, actually, this is the one thing you feel, you know, CLE is a Frankenstein from the E and the C, you know. And yeah, it does carry both letters. But there you feel that the technology is rather C-Class, definitely. So, yeah, and I'm really surprised that the BMW is way more silent, actually. Yeah, and the engine has more spirit, as I said. Let's see here with lane change. That's good behavior. The steering feel is actually better here in the Mercedes. Who would have thought that? So, yeah, it's really nice. It has here a little bit of play, I would say. So I have experienced that even a little bit better with recent Mercedes model, but overall it's cool. In the sport mode also a little bit more resistance. The suspension
but
is...
for the passenger, it's heavy. For me, it's cool.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. So you say
When you did the lane change, it's...
you feel less comfortable?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, what we do have here is, first of all, we have this is tech pack that is available in Europe. It's not available in the Northern American market. And this combines the adaptive suspension together with rear axle steering, 2.5 degrees rear axle or rear wheels in the opposite direction. And like this makes the car more agile, especially at lower speeds. Also gives a little bit of, let's say, artificialiness. But when we park in and out the basement garage, this is a great help. So sometimes you have to do like one less back and forth if you compare this one here with the rear axle steering against the 4 Series. This only counts in the comparison if you have the rear axle steering though. So it doesn't count if you don't have it available like in the Northern American market. Let's now check out this S combination here, which was Leah is already holding tight. Yeah, you feel a little bit more weight. You're getting into the corners. Yeah, then accelerate out. This is really nice. It's also a lot of fun. Good handling, definitely. But you feel it is, I mean, the wheelbase is not really larger than the 4 Series, although it might appear that way. However, with the rear axle steering, it's faking a shorter wheelbase. I also feel that the seats are not holding me that tight, like in the 4 Series. That might be also the thing that you are actually experiencing. Yeah, this is a blind spot monitor. Also reacts in here when I'm... Yeah, the engine just takes like a... In Germany we say a Gedenksekunde, like a thought second.
Like ages.
Yeah, and so there you go. But then, I mean, it has enough power, definitely, just in comparison to the 4 Series we just driven. Suspension is still doing a good job, I feel. Oh, we have 20-inch wheels mounted here, so one size larger than with the BMW, and I don't think we're noticing that. So the adaptive suspension...
It's better, I think, yeah.
Yeah? You like the suspension better here in the
Yeah.
Mercedes? That's interesting. I mean, maybe a little bit...
It's not so rough.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more forgiving.
Yeah.
And I think this point or this argument is even stronger since you have like the larger wheels here. So then the suspension really has to be good. So Mercedes here scores with suspension and the steering. The BMW scores with the engine, with the noise insulation, and definitely with the seats. Yeah, because the seats, they hold, in the BMW, they hold you tighter. At the same time, they're way more comfortable. And these here are kind of open. You slide around, like here, especially in the top area, and they are really uncomfortable because they're so stiff and the ergonomics are really off. I have to say that. We can, of course, go into the comfort mode. I mean, we have been riding the suspension here in the, that was a motorcycle, probably 300 kilometers an hour or something. A rocket or something. Here, comfort mode, then the suspension is even more comfortable, and we can set the cruise control with the active lane keeping assist. Let's see how we are being kept in the lane here. Smooth, no hectic reactions from the steering wheel. See here, this is perfect. Look at that. You know, the motorway is taking like this slight bend. Yeah, really elaborated assistance systems. So that's good with both vehicles. Really like that. Very sophisticated. Yeah, and I think especially the suspension here is probably the best thing about this vehicle. I mean, now we're in the comfort mode, and the thing is, I had it in sport mode all the time, and I wasn't even thinking about, maybe let's go back. And with the BMW, it was a little bit, okay, when you have the sport mode, at some point you should go back to the comfort mode to gain comfort back again. So, this super, super interesting how they differ here in the individual aspects. Consumption, we can score with both some 7 liters on 100 kilometers, 34 mpg US, 41 mpg UK, with slight advantage to the BMW, but it's not a huge difference actually consumption-wise. Also pricing-wise, the BMW is a little less expensive, but not a large gap actually. It starts lower in the entry price. That's the key thing. So like $50,000, around 50,000 euros, 44,000 pounds. For the Mercedes, the entry price is a couple of thousand euros, dollars or pounds higher. But then when you equip the vehicle with a lot of extras and so on, the price gets a little bit closer. And both vehicles here, as I stand here right now, the BMW exactly 80,000 euros and the Mercedes a little bit more than 80,000 euros. With the Mercedes, it's meanwhile harder to find out because so far, I could receive from the manufacturers the exact list prices and with all the extras and equipment. But Mercedes now changed their configuration and pricing system. There aren't any prices from Mercedes anymore. And I'm not kidding even. So you cannot have a price list and compare the prices as a customer. You have to go to the configurator, add everything, and then you get a current day price for the vehicle. And that's why it also makes it much harder now for us to give you the exact prices of the Mercedes vehicles. I have to check then which option does the car have, then go to the configurator, add everything and so on, and hopefully didn't forget anything, and then check the price at this specific day. This is called dynamic pricing, and dynamic pricing has been a curse to customers in many areas, for example also for concert tickets and so on. So I'm not sure what strategy Mercedes is going there. They say it would be an advantage for the customer. I think it is a clear disadvantage, and it will make cars overall more expensive at Mercedes. That's, my take to this new development here. And now to our overall conclusion, which one would I actually take home? So exterior styling wise, I found both very beautiful. BMW with the sportier focus, Mercedes with the more sensual focus, I feel. Interior quality wise, goes to the BMW. It just gives you a more premium atmosphere. The Mercedes is more that it looks very cool at the first hand, but there's more high gloss black area and so on. And when you touch and squeeze things and so on, you see that the BMW has a higher quality from the interior meanwhile there. And also seating comfort definitely goes to the BMW. The seats, especially with the animal skin in the Mercedes, absolutely unacceptable or unacceptable. So you have to pick this one also with the Artico leather red or with the microfiber if it's available in your country market. The BMW just way more forward with all the animal skin alternatives and so on, and they're also softer and way more comfortable. Driving wise, it was really interesting because the Mercedes has the comfort focus, whereas the BMW has the sportiness focus. So this one here feels so easy to control, even at 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour, whereas the Mercedes has more dampening comfort, especially when you go over some bumps and so on. So you see the different focus of the two vehicles. So there the question is if you rather appreciate more driving comfort suspension-wise, or you feel more one with the vehicle. And that's the thing about the BMW. It feels more, let's say, like going full circle. This is your combination driver, car and road, whereas the Mercedes is a little bit disconnected there, but then the driving feeling is a little bit better. So it's always pro and con and so on, but the BMW to me feels more like a driving machine. And then again, the plus in adaptive suspension comfort that I get with the Mercedes, you only get this package here in the EU market, not on the Northern American market. That means it will be less comfortable in the Northern American market. And since the better seating comfort in the BMW can basically even out or even overweigh the better suspension comfort in the Mercedes, together with the more driving fun, the BMW would be my choice here today. And of course, I would like to know from you, which one would you pick and why? Please explain in the comments. And we have more very exciting BMW versus Mercedes comparisons for you.